There's a couple of things that we need to cover around thrusts, and I'm going to kind of go back to one of the original lessons on a forward thrust. And as we do that, I want to clarify that there's two steps in this thrust. The first, we're going to call it basically the loading step. So you're going to pull your front hand all the way back to your body. Now that the bow is loaded, let's call it that, it's time to strike. And as you strike, you come forward. And if you need to adjust the height of your strikes, in other words, perhaps your aim is a little bit off, or you want to aim for a little bit different target, you can always adjust the height of the bow by turning your front hand. The other thing that I want you to know is when you strike, if you want to add more rigidity, but you don't need to change the position, you can always bring your back hand against your front hand, and that will give the bow more rigidity. So there's several things that we just went through. We're going to go through them real slow. The first is you're going to load all the way. So you need to actually feel that impact to know that you're loaded. Then when you strike, you can use your front hand rotation to go up or down on your target fairly easily. If you're at target, you can actually ring your hands against each other. So turn the backhand. I don't know if you can see that. I'm basically trying to, like I'm wringing out a t-shirt. Turn that backhand against the front hand, and it will give the leading edge or the tip of your bow a lot more rigidity. So it helps you to be more accurate with where you're striking. Again, so you can use the rotation to change the elevation, and you can bring your hands together to give it more rigidity. So that's the general forward thrust that we've done in the past. There's also what we're terming as an instep thrust, and it's important that you think about your stance when you do this thrust. Basically, you're going to be pointing or aiming at the top of your opponent's foot. So you need to think about where their foot is when you do this thrust. So if they're in front of you, you need to make sure that you've got the bow in the right place. Here it's the same thing. You're going to pull the bow back. Now you're not going to move your front hand. So it's not like the regular forward thrust where you're going to come up and go down. You're actually going to leave your front hand where it is. You're going to pull the bow back and then come down quickly towards your target. Don't leave it there. So it's not like here and yeah, I got your foot. It's down, up. Get control of your bow again so that you can move or do whatever's necessary. This is not a fight-ending strike, but it's quite possibly enough distraction to take your opponent's mind off of what you're doing. So if you can strike the top of their foot, the first thing they're going to think of is, my foot. Once they do that, then of course you could strike any other place because they're hopefully looking at their foot. So remember, this strike, no matter how you do it, needs to be on target and then back up to allow you to gain or give away ground and strike however you want to. And it works the same no matter which hand is in front. Basically, you pick your target. It's a lot like playing billiards or pool if you've ever done that before. You pick your target, you strike, and then you quickly recover to move from there. So those two thrusts are extremely important. So the normal front thrust or normal thrust that we do can be anywhere from the face. Usually we try to target between the mouth and the nose. The neck is a good point. Solar plexus is a good point. The groin's also functional, but it's not as effective. It's better to take their air out by hitting in the solar plexus or aiming for their face. The instep thrust is 100% focused on taking their attention away from you and your bow to putting it on their foot. You strike their foot, that allows you to do whatever you need to do to finish that confrontation. So work on those two thrusts. They're extremely important, and you got to make sure that you execute them properly so you can get the impact you're shooting.